haven't really talked about brackets much, so let's talk about brackets. This is one of the charts I first used to learn brackets when I first started playing kind of like tournament level tech. This song was in DDR Storm 2016, which is my first national, and I wasn't playing a lot of charts that had this many brackets at the time, so this does have a lot of foot switches as well, which could be tedious to learn as well, but at this point in my tech playing career, I guess, I had gotten experience through playing foot switches already, so foot switches were in charts like Brain Fog, they were in charts like Aim Burst V1 in Sharpnel streams, so I had no issue playing foot switches, so brackets was really the only thing I had to focus on. If you're someone in like the 11s or 12s space that's looking to improve their hybrid tech, meaning you're playing something that's not just a foot switch chart, or something that's not just a bracket chart, this is a really good chart that forces you to kind of switch back and forth between different types of tech and utilize them together rather than having to play them individually. Chances are you're probably better at the foot switches than the brackets. And brackets are really, doing brackets well is really more about foot placement and technique than anything else. Like, your foot size doesn't matter. I would say even if your feet are too big, that's a problem. So, get your pads modded well, use good technique, and you should be good. It definitely doesn't hurt to go back and play charts like Don't Start Now, or Dazzling Darlin', or Blinding Lights to improve your fundamentals and foot placement. Never hurts to go back and develop those fundamentals. I just wanted to play this chart once through, and then I'll have notes and things to talk about. There's a few tricky things, but also a couple mental tricks I use to make this easier on myself. So here's the intro. Pretty stock stuff for the intro. Am I out of juice? I'm out of juice. Okay, two things that really helped me learning this chart. First is that I always know that my footing is going to be alternating. And even if the rhythms change, the pattern between right and left is always going to be alternating. That wasn't the actual rhythm in the song, that's just an example. So, no matter what the rhythm is, there's never going to be any sort of like double stepping, or stuff like where you have to play two rights, two lefts. It's always alternating. That's one thing. The reason that helps me is because when a bracket shows up, I already know then what foot I'm going to be hitting that bracket with. The other thing that I know for sure is that from this section all the way to like the next, this section, kind of like, I don't know how far in we are, like 30% through the song, everything in that main chunk, if you see a jump, it's almost likely going to be a bracket, right? There's just like a few jumps here and there, but there's another thing that you can think about to make sure you know that you can jump those. So yeah, there's like a jump there, but not a big deal. Yeah, for starters, just knowing those two things alone, that your foot always alternates regardless of the rhythm, and also knowing that almost every single jump is a bracket, is going to get you like 95% of the way there. Those two things just help me a lot because it lets me not think about other things. Like, I know how to read the rhythms. I know that the footing is going to be alternating, so I can put more energy into focusing on foot placement on the brackets. That's the first thing. The other thing is, let's see here. Something that Omid has talked about in his stream is that he's established what he calls a heuristic. This is something I've thought about as well, but I've never put a word to it. He has something called a heuristic, which is something like he considers a mental trick for recognizing whether something is a bracket or not. And it's easier to give an example and a counterexample for this. The heuristic, the way I think of it, is if there's a jump coming up. So the question here is this jump a bracket or a jump? The way I do it is I backtrack and I look at the last two notes. If you have 0 notes in common, I think that's how it works. If you have 0 notes in common with the jump in terms of like arrows, then this can be done as a bracket. If there's at least 1 note in common, oh, is it 1 note in common? I think it's actually just the second note. Right, so this is, I have to think this through. I'm kind of winging it right now, hold on. This is, sound like this, right? It's really just looking at the note before, not the last 2 notes. This down arrow here has nothing in common with these 2 arrows. So it frees up your right foot to be able to hit this bracket. Right, okay. That's the heuristic. That's the example. We can maybe look at one more example of how that rule applies. Oh, that's a good one. That's an Ethernet one. So this is, oh, where's my cursor? So this is left, right as well. Your right foot is here. This left arrow, right, has nothing in common in terms of arrows that show up on this jump. So then this can be done as a bracket. In terms of the counterexample for this heuristic, okay, so now we're hitting this example where this is hit with your right. The question is this a bracket or a jump? We have the left arrow here. The way I see this is that this right arrow, the last note you hit, has this right arrow in common with the jump. So it makes sense that you should do this as a jump, right? Because your right foot's already here. You would actually, even your left foot's already here. Your left foot's here and it stays there. Right foot's here and stays here. Your feet are already in the right place. So doing a bracket just like wouldn't make sense, because if you did a right foot bracket, you'd actually have to like release your left foot. Yeah, like just given the last 2 arrows that you were given, your feet are already in the right place, so you just leave them in place, jump up to hit those. That's the counterexample for the heuristic. Oh, that was important too. This is my next tip. I've messed this up so many times. Okay. The issue here is there's like this huge like open space. And what I've done before is I used to like reset back into the center. I do that a lot. I put both feet in the center whenever there's a long space. But then the issue is that the next 2 notes are up arrows, which if you've ever watched a technical showcase stream with Kyle Dobey, you know that starting a chart on an up arrow is bad. And if I reset into the center, then it's almost as if the chart is starting again, or like a section is starting again. The resetting into the center causes this pattern to be ambiguous. If you hit this with a right foot, then you have to play this as a jack in order to get this to resolve on the left. Obviously, if you play this on the left, then you can foot switch it. But it kind of comes at a gamble, and if you've been like doing foot switches a lot up to this point, and you end up starting with the right, and something I've done before is I'll hit this starting on the right. I know there's been a bunch of foot switches in the song before this, so I'd hit this on the left. So I'm stuck to do something like doing something really awkward, like playing this as a double step, and then panicking because I don't know what I just did, and then I just mess up the rest of the section. So this one is another section where you just have to trust where the step artist placed your feet. So this jump, right, is on your right foot's on the right arrow. We're back to left, right jump here. Okay, so here, this is a really good frame. Just already trust that this is on the left. Ooh, that's not a good place to put that. This is the left, right jump here. Don't like, yes, technically you could hit this up arrow, up, down jump, facing either way, like right foot in front or left foot in front. The way you should do this is, first of all, you're definitely hitting this with this footing. If you don't hit it with this footing, you're weird. Your right foot is already in place for the down arrow, so just leave it here. In that case, this up down jump is done with your right foot on bottom and left foot on top. Cool? Cool. So that means, ooh, man, this media player sucks. Right? The last thing we hit was an up-down jump where the right foot was here and the left foot was here. Since your left foot is already in place for the up arrow, then you'll just hit it with that arrow. And I know like experienced players are looking at this like, dude, Vincent, you're so stupid. You should have done that the whole time. Like, why would you ever reset into the center? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I like ghost stepping. It's a big open space. Like, you just, like, you can, there's like a whole quarter note tab that you can just like bum 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 center. It just feels good, man. But it's caused me a lot of grief. So what's the last thing I have to say about this chart? Oh, what else? It's just the 24th rhythms. There's crossovers here, but you can double step them. I don't think there's any risk in... I don't think there's any risk in doing those as crossovers. Yeah, I think it's fine. This rhythm, the 24th into the 16th. The way I've always thought about this is that I've talked about this pretty much anytime there's been anything rhythmically focused, but I always think about checkpoints. In this point, my checkpoint that I want to hit is here. It's easier for me to think of. What's here? Can I back up? I don't want the flash. Okay. I think of this as two rhythms. The first thing I think of is this, right? And then I think of this. And using this as the checkpoint or like the bridge between these two sections is really helpful. Because if you're playing a 12, chances are that you can time pretty easily this latter portion of it, right? And probably individually, you could also do that 24th pattern. So I think of them individually first. And then I add in the 16th after. That's how I build that rhythm in my head. Is I think about getting to this spot, using this first part as the bridge, and then resolving with the 3 notes after. That might be too much micromanaging for some people, but I find that it helps stay in time for me. I will sometimes even like hit that checkpoint note. I'll even hit that checkpoint note a little bit harder. I think that's all I had to say about this chart. I've been talking for 16 minutes, 17 minutes. Yeah, I read that rhythm wrong. I think when I was first learning, it was pretty hard for me to... It's pretty hard for me to look at and learn how to play brackets where the notes were like separated, because there's like this gap here between these two notes. It was always easiest for me to play like upright because those were together, and down left because those were together. Definitely like down right and left up because those are separated were definitely hard for me to read. But it just kind of goes back to understanding that what helped me was knowing that my feet are always alternating, and also knowing that the jumps in this section are always going to be brackets. And then I just try to play this chart a lot until that knowledge is burned into my brain and I can never mess it up again. Did I have anything else to say? No, I think that's it. Thank you for sitting down and learning about binary with me. I'm probably gonna... I really want to do a video on Don't Start Now, but I also don't want to get those copyright flags, man. Like, Dua Lipa is an international icon. Can't mess with her. Those labels are vicious. Tell you what. I hope that was helpful. If this video is too long, let me know. I know some people like the long form content because they like are watching my videos while they work or something, or as part of their morning commute, and they need it to be longer. But that's all I have to say about binary. Definitely more bracket content is needed. I will catch you guys tomorrow.